The month of Elul is in full swing ahead already. We're already 9 days into this month. And the time is ticking away until Rosh Hashana comes. And we've got to get ourselves ready. And we know the famous acronym in the words of Elul, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. You all know. I hate to be cliche, but it says, Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Which, these are the words of the Arizal. The Arizal is the one who taught us that the acronym of this month, which means the essence of what this month is that Ani l'doidi, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Now, none of you are married yet, but Be'ez Hashem you will be. Soon, it sounds like. Yes, Hashem. You will find the following truth in your marriages. And the truth of the matter is that when you are l'doidi, when you are to your beloved, then your beloved is going to be to you. The more effort that you put in to making your husband happy, if he's a good guy and a normal guy and he understands what's going on in marriage, then he is going to be good to you as well. With every single relationship that we have, the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And when it comes to Ava, when it comes to love, the more that you put in and invest in that relationship, the more effort that you make to let your spouse know how much you care about them, how much you think about them, how much you dream about them, how much you're willing to do for them, so then that spouse is going to give back to you in the proper way. Says the Arizal, you know what the nature of the month of Elul is? The nature is that Ani l'doidi, when you show Hashem how much you're going to be to Him, then doidi li, He is going to be to you. And this is long before we get to Rosh Hashana, long before we get to Yom Kippur. This entire month that we have right now, that's the spiritual realm that we are living in. You make a little bit of effort. Even a little bit in this month is big in the eyes of Hashem. You make a little bit of effort. You show HaKadosh Baruch Hu you want to come close to Him. You show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you want to prepare yourself for the Yomim, the Roim, the awesome days of Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doidi li. Hashem is going to be to us as well. And that's the nature of this relationship. And it's a month unlike parallel any other month in the Jewish calendar, if a person only will be sensitive and will be able to work in that direction. Everybody knows that if you'd like to run a marathon, so the only way to run that marathon is if you train. You train the right way. You can't wake up on the morning of the LA Marathon after not having exercised for the last 23 years of your life, eating very delicious candy-covered peanuts and almonds over here, eating chips and salsa and pizza and cupcakes and brownies, never having jogged, and all you have is high heels, you don't even have good jogging shoes. Nobody in their right mind would decide, you know what, I feel like running the marathon today. You'd be a fool to do such a thing because you're not ready. You're not prepared. You're not in training. You're not in the right health. You're not conditioned. You won't even be able to make it past the first mile probably. So if you want to run a marathon, you have to train. You have to eat right. You have to sleep right. You have to start running 5 miles, and then 10 miles, and then 15 miles, and then 20 miles, and then 25 miles, and 26.2 miles, and you have to get into where you can do it. We have a guy in our shul, he likes to run marathons. I don't know why a person would like to run marathons, but he likes to run marathons. And he trains. When he's going to run a marathon, he trains for hours and hours on end, the months leading up to it, to make sure that he's ready to go. If you think about the Yomim, the Roim, the spiritual days of awe, Rosh Hashana, Yom Kippur, they are no less than a spiritual marathon. You know how many hours you're going to be in shul on Rosh Hashana? It's 2 days, not 1 day. It's 2 days. Shachris, blowing of the shofar, and Musaf. The average shul starts, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning, finishes no earlier than 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's 6 hours approximately of the marathon of davening that you're going to be a part of. Then there's another day. Then there's a mincha. Then there's a marav afterwards. So the entirety of Yom, and then that's only Rosh Hashana. Yom Kippur starts at night, goes a long full day, goes into mincha, mincha goes into ne'ilah, and you don't finish the fast until about 26 hours after you ate your last meal. Could you walk in there if you're not prepared? Without training? Without spending the month of Elul getting yourself ready? Yeah, you're not going to go jogging during the month of Elul to get ready to stand in davening in prayer for so long. But we have to prepare our spiritual muscles during the month of Elul so that we should be prepared and ready to stand before the King of the universe, to be able to be mamlich, to make him the king over ourselves. Because you have to understand what that means. You can't show up on Rosh Hashana and start to say, well, what does it mean, Rosh Hashana? You have to know Rosh Hashana already now. One of the halachas that's brought down in the Shulchan Aruch is that who's ever leading the services of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, a lot of the words are different words than we have throughout the year. So you can't just open up the machzor the first time when you're going to stand up and lead the congregation in prayer. You actually have to practice before so that the words are going to be fluent in your mouth, so you'll know what you're saying, so you don't make mistakes. So too for each and every one of us, we don't really want to make a mistake on Rosh Hashanah. Hashem is judging each and every one of us. He is deciding on what our life is going to look like for the up and coming year. All of the successes, all of the blessings, all of the strength, all of the health, all of the good times, all of that Hashem is deciding for the up and coming year. Along with that, He's deciding all of the challenges that a person is going to go through for the up and coming year. Now just think back to this year and ask yourself, are you pleased with the way that the year has gone? Are you happy with all of the blessings, all of the goodness, all of the successes, all of the brachas, everything good that Hashem has given you? And were you able to handle all of the challenges, which impossible that a person won't have? Were you able to handle all of the challenges of life that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided last year on Rosh Hashana that you were going to have this year? Everybody is 100% satisfied with the year that they had. It's okay if you're not. It's normal not to be, because we are human beings and we are never satisfied. We always want something else. We always want something more. We'd always like something different. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you think that you ordered the best dish on the menu until you see what your friend ordered. It's much better than yours. At least you think that it is. You go on a vacation. You thought you're going to, wow, what an extravagant place. And you come back and your friend starts showing you pictures from where she went, which was 1,000 times more extravagant, luxurious, and better than yours. We always want more. So if we're walking into Rosh Hashanah this year, and we look back on the year in review, and we're not 100% satisfied with exactly the way that the year turned out, maybe that means last year on Rosh Hashanah, we weren't prepared 100%. Just like the person who runs the marathon and they're disappointed that they come in 1,023 of the 1,050 runners. They thought they were more prepared. They thought they were better off. But they weren't. We thought we're prepared, but maybe we weren't. Maybe we couldn't appreciate Hashem as the King. Maybe we didn't appreciate all of, you ever notice on Rosh Hashanah, how many times were you leafing through the machzor to see how many pages are left inside the machzor. You know that Hashem adds more pages every time that you start leafing through it? It never gets shorter. It just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. Maybe if you would have been more prepared, you wouldn't be leafing through the pages in the middle of davening to see how much time is going to be left over here. The rabbi is speaking. He's giving his sermon. He's getting into it. Did you do that last year? Did you get bored? I want to tell you something as a rabbi. You have to know that when a rabbi is up there speaking and he's looking out into the crowd, he's watching everybody's face as he is speaking. Which means he knows if you're paying attention. He knows if you're not paying attention. He knows if you're interested. He knows if you're not interested. I have one guy in my shul who told me, Rabbi, I'll never look like I'm interested in your drushes, but trust me, I'm listening to every word that you say. And he sits by every drusha like this. You're really interested? Trust me, he tells me. That's the way my face looks when I listen to a drush. So, what does that mean? Let's say that you got bored during the drasha last year. Let's say that you were tired. Let's say that you yawned. Let's say that you looked at your watch like this in the middle to wonder how long he's going to speak. You heard the rabbi's feelings on Rosh Hashana, the holiest day of the year, where you want Hashem to judge you in the right way. So if in fact you examine last year, this year that we are still in, and you are not thrilled with everything which took place, so maybe it means that you weren't well enough prepared for Rosh Hashana of last year. And then on that day, when we're running the marathon, asking Hashem to be the king, and we're pleading for our lives, and we know that Hashem is deciding everything that's going to be, that's why there were disappointments, frustrations, challenges that sometimes seem insurmountable of how it is that we're supposed to overcome such things. So what should we do this year? During the month of Elul, we should start preparing Ani L'Doidi. The more that I will be to my beloved, the more that I will show Hashem that I want to be to Him, Doidi Li, He is going to be to me. And it's this month, and this is the preparation, the training grounds. Chazal saw only 1 month is needed officially to get ourselves in the top condition that we could possibly be for the glorious days of Rosh Hashana, Aser Simei Tshuva, and Yom Kippur. What is the preparation during this month? I want to go back to a parsha that we had a few weeks ago, Parshas Eikev. And in the very beginning of the parsha it says, V'haya Eikev Tishmon. If you will listen to the Eikev, to the heels, Heels, Es HaMishpatim Ha'ela, to these laws, Ushmartem, and you'll guard them, V'asisem, and you will do them, V'shama Hashem Elokecha Lecha, Hashem will guard you, V'yaseh Asher Nishma Aveisecha, and all the covenant that He promised to you and your forefathers. Which means that if you will listen to the Eikev, to the heels, Hashem is going to send you all of the brachas, all the blessings that are there. Now our Mefarshim, the commentators, ask the obvious question. What does it mean if you will listen to the heels, Heels? Assuming that most of Klal Yisrael are not podiatrists, and they're not pedicurists, they don't know what a heel sounds like. So what is the Torah telling us over here? If you listen to the heels, then you will be rewarded with all of this goodness that Hashem wants to send your way. So you probably remember the famous words of Rashi, on this pasuk. And Rashi writes, what's the akim? What are the heels that we're talking about? Ima mitzvahs hakalos. If the mitzvahs kalos, the light mitzvahs commandments in your eyes, she'adam dash ba'akevav, that a person will squash with his heel, tishmon, you will listen to those. If the mitzvahs hakalos, if the light mitzvahs, which means mitzvahs that you make light in your eyes, if you will trample them with your heels, if you begin to listen to those and embrace those and keep those, then all of the brachas, all of the blessings that Hashem wants to send our way, He's going to send our way. What is Rashi saying over here? How does something end up on the ground? If somebody would give you a diamond, in Yirtzeh Hashem this year, Amen, your chassid is going to give you a diamond ring. Amen. What would you do with that ring? Would you toss it onto the ground? Or would you hold it close and treasure it and protect it and guard it and of course show off to everybody with your finger over here? Show it off to everybody. But it's there locked on your finger. Things that are valuable, things that are meaningful, things that are precious, we hold on to very tight and we protect them and we guard them. However, something that is meaningless, something that is valueless, something that is worthless in our eyes, it ends up on the floor. Not only does it end up on the floor, but very often, after it's on the floor, when a person is walking, they will just trample right over it. For example, I'm assuming in the health-conscious room of TLC, about as racy as you get in not healthy is chocolate-covered almonds over here. Nobody smokes. But if you would smoke, everybody knows that when you finish smoking, you throw down the cigarette butt on the floor, and you step on it, you want to get rid of the fire that is there. Because the cigarette butt, after it has been smoked, it's worthless. It's useless. There's no value to me anymore. But Rashi is saying something very important over here. When that trash or that cigarette butt is on the floor, when you are walking regular, do you walk on your heels or do you walk on the soles of your feet? Soles of your feet. Nobody walks on their heels. You walk on the soles of your feet, and if something on the ground, you walk over it, you step on it. Says Rashi, there are mitzvahs kalos, there are light mitzvahs, meaning there are mitzvahs that a person does not take seriously. He doesn't value them. They're not precious in his eyes. He throws them, they're on the ground, because they're like trash, they're like cigarette butts. Not only does he walk over them, he actually grinds them in with his heel. He took the time to look at the trash that was on the ground, and he steps on it with his heel and he grinds it down so that it no longer is there. There are mitzvahs in our lives that mean so much to us. There are mitzvahs in our lives that we could not imagine living without. Maybe it is Shabbos, maybe it's prayers, davening, maybe it's learning, maybe it's eating at TLC, whatever that great mitzvah is. Everybody has certain mitzvahs that are very valuable and meaningful in their eyes. But Rashi is careful over here. He doesn't give us a list of what the light mitzvahs are, meaning the mitzvahs that are not valuable in our eyes. You know why there's no list? Because everybody has a different set of mitzvahs that are meaningless or not as valuable in their eyes. Let's take an example. Everybody knows that on Shabbos you don't turn on a light. Everybody knows that. And therefore, if you're keeping Shabbos, for sure, 100%, it means a lot to you not to turn on the light, not to get in the car. For sure, everybody knows that. Now, did you know that there's another halacha called boirer, which means you're not allowed to separate mixtures from each other? So let's say that you had a bowl of these beige almonds and the black things together, and they were all together. And let's say that you don't like the beige almonds, candy-covered almonds, you like the chocolate. So you say, you know what? I want to get rid of all of those candy-covered almonds. I want only the chocolate ones. And you begin removing, one by one, the candy-covered almonds, because you don't need them. That's called a prohibition of boirer, separating the bad from the good. You're not allowed to do that, and you just desecrated Shabbos. What's more important in your eyes? Turning on a light, God forbid, on Shabbos? Getting in a car, God forbid, on Shabbos? Or separating the candy-covered almonds from the chocolate ones? Guess what? It's all the same. They're all important mitzvahs, but in our minds, we look at it as one, as big, it's major. I would never do that. But when it comes to certain things that are smaller in our mind, they have less meaning and less merit and less value to us, and therefore can easily trample on them and make up excuses why it is that it's not such a big deal. Says Rashi, if you will find those mitzvahs in your life that you have not given enough credence to, that you just have been trampling over, and you will listen to them, and you will hear them, and you'll lift them up. You might have to peel them off the heel of your shoe and lift them up in front of your eyes and see, wow, even that is valuable, even that is precious and meaningful. Then says Hashem, I'm going to send you all of the blessings that I talk about in this parsha. Now, why are there mitzvahs that are not valuable to us? Either we don't understand the importance of that mitzvah, or perhaps we think to ourselves, that mitzvah, it's on a madrega, on a level that's beyond where I'm holding right now. Or maybe I say, really, I know that mitzvah I should do and I could do, but I'll get there later. I'll get there later, next year. And finally you're like 93 years old, you're on your deathbed over there. Okay, next year, next life, whenever I'll do it. When are you going to do it? Says Rashi, if you want the blessing, if you want the goodness, if you want all of the success that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is ready to give, lift up the mitzvahs, kalos, the light mitzvahs, and make them something that is precious and valuable in your eyes. Now, a person cannot take the 612 mitzvahs that are light in their eyes and decide to work on all of them during the month of Elul. That's impossible. Because if we would think to ourselves every single mitzvah that is light in our eyes, it would take us forever and we'd be so overwhelmed we won't do anything. But if a person will examine their actions and they will look at their observance and they will find one single mitzvah that they believe they could do better in, and that right now they're trampling with it under their feet, that mitzvah then will become so beloved, they'll lift it up off the ground and they will begin to keep it in a way that they never did before. When are you going to do this? Starting right now. Starting right now during the month of Elul, the way that we train, the way that we get ready, the way that we condition ourselves to stand before Hashem on Rosh Hashana and say, Hashem, you are the king. I am your servant. I will do your will. Give me another year of life that I can do even more. Is by doing His will right now. What's His will? The Torah is telling us, take a mitzvah kala, a light mitzvah, something that you think is beyond you, something that you think you'll save till next year or 5 years down the road, something perhaps you don't realize the importance of that mitzvah, and hold it, lift it up, do it, and I will give you the bracha, I will give you all the blessing. What's the real blessing? It's the blessing of life that Hashem wants to give to each and every one of us on Rosh Hashana. You think He doesn't want to write you in the book of life? What do we ask though for? Shana Tova Umetuka. Shana Tova Mesuka. It's not just enough that we ask for another year of life. We ask for a good year of life, and it should be sweet as well. Because everything that Hashem does is good. Even the worst challenges you had this year, which made you cry, which made you feel alone, which hurt, it's coming from Hashem. So it's all good. But you know what we say to Hashem? It's not enough that it's good, Hashem. Make it mesuka, make it sweet as well. Make it that everything that takes place for me this year, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, let it be something that I can savor the sweetness of every moment that is there. How do I show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that that's the kind of a year that I want? It starts right now. It starts right now by picking one mitzvah, and don't even wait till you get home. If you wait till you get home, you won't pick one. Guaranteed. If you wait till you get home and you pick one, call me and let me know that you're the one in a million who waited until they got home and they still chose one. By the time you walk out this door, if you don't pick one mitzvah, gone. It's gone. But if you pick that mitzvah and you work on it this Elul, the best that you can, you're not going to be perfect. You will make mistakes. You will falter. You will stumble. You will forget about it. You'll have too much going on and you won't do it. It happens. But if you're trying every day to pick up off the ground one little mitzvah, that's how you're showing Hashem life is valuable to you. And because a person who engages themselves in a world of mitzvahs, who engages themselves in doing the ratzon, the will of Hashem, that's the person who understands the secret of life. I saw a beautiful story recently. There was a mashgiach in Bnei Brak in Israel, who was the mashgiach, which means he's like in charge of the boys in the yeshiva to make sure that they're learning well, that they're davening well, that they're doing well. And he called up a fellow who was learning in Kollel, in Bnei Brak, we'll call him Reb Moshe. And he called up Reb Moshe and he said, Reb Moshe, I just wanted to give you a big yashar koach. Congratulations. He said, for what? He said, because you helped Yaakov Schwartz to do tshuva and to come back to full dedication to Torah and mitzvahs. Yaakov Schwartz? What are you talking about? He says, you know Yaakov Schwartz, your neighbor? He says, yeah, of course. He says, well, because of you, he did tshuva, he was wavering in his Yiddishkeit, in his Judaism, but because of you, you convinced him to go all the way back, full steam ahead into the world of Torah and mitzvahs. What did I do? He said, Reb Moshe, is it true that you go every Friday to the sea, down to the ocean, and you go swimming for your health? He said, yes, it's true. He said, can I remind you of a story which took place about 3 months ago? I said, okay. You were in the ocean, you were swimming, and you'll excuse, pardon my French as they say, but you relieved yourself in the ocean. So you got out of the ocean, and you had to say the bracha of Asher Yatzar. Person goes to the restroom, you have to say Asher Yatzar. You got out of the ocean, and your yarmulke and your towel was very, very far away from the shore. And you wanted to say the bracha and go right back into the ocean. So you look around, and lo and behold, who do you see standing by the shore of the ocean? Yaakov Schwartz, your neighbor. Shiva Bachar, learning in yeshiva, in our yeshiva. And you said, Yaakov, could I borrow your yarmulke? And he said, sure, of course. He gave you his yarmulke, put it on your head, you said the bracha Asher Yatzar, he answered Amen, and then you were about to hand back the yarmulke to him. But then you said over the following words. You said, Yaakov, do you see how easy it is to do mitzvahs? Could you imagine the reward that you got just now for letting me borrow your yarmulke? You did chesed, you did an act of kindness, you gave it to me. Because I have the yarmulke on my head, I'm able to say a bracha that's also part of your schus, of your merit. You answered Amen, which is proclaiming that Hashem is the master of the universe. In just one little act, one little chesed, look how many mitzvahs you got. And then you said to him, and imagine, if that's what you got right here, imagine how many mitzvahs you get in an average day in yeshiva. You wake up in the morning, you wash your hands, you say your brachas, you go to davening, you put on your tefillin, you pray Shmon Esrei, you can do chesed, you can help somebody, give them something to eat, you open the door for them, you learn with your Torah, with your chavrusa, with your study partner all morning long, you go to the shir, you hear Torah from your great Rebbe. Imagine all of the hundreds of mitzvahs that you're getting every single day in yeshiva. It's amazing. Thank you very much for the yarmulke. Here it is. So the mashkiach on the phone says, Rabbi Moshe, do you remember that? He said, vaguely. He said, let me explain something to you. Do you know why that boy Yaakov Schwartz was at the ocean Friday in the morning and not in yeshiva? He said, no. He said, because for the 6 months before that, he was having a major decline in his Yiddishkeit, in his mitzvah observance. And we were watching him in yeshiva go down and down and down. That smiley countenance, that enthusiasm for learning, the beautiful, pure davening that he had, it was gone. And we spoke to him and we didn't know what was happening. And as a matter of fact, we were really unsure that he was going to continue in yeshiva altogether because of this yerida, this downfall that he had. But that day he came back to yeshiva and he was smiling, just like his old self. And he sat down and he started learning like his old self. And then came Shabbos and he was davening so beautifully, just like his old self. And I watched him for several days. His face was shining. His davening was beautiful. His learning was serious. And I called him over and I said, Yaakov, what happened? You're like a different kid. What happened? He said, Rebbe, you know that I've been struggling? I said, yes, I know. Do you know why I was struggling so much? I was struggling because I was having a very hard time believing in the power of all of the mitzvahs. And I thought I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again. The same mitzvah that everybody else around me is doing. And I didn't see the chashivas, the value and the importance in all of the mitzvahs that I was doing every day. And I was getting burnt out and totally uninspired from this environment and the life that I was leading. But then I went to the ocean and I met my neighbor Reb Moshe. And Reb Moshe made me realize just the chesed of letting someone borrow my yarmulke so that he could say a bracha. That's important, that's valuable. Or all of the mitzvahs that I do when I'm here in yeshiva, the learning and the davening and the chesadim and everything in the brachas, everything that's there, each and every one is a mitzvah. And it's amazing, it's worth gold. When I heard that, I realized how much I've been missing out on and not appreciating and valuing. And because of that, my emunah, my faith, my understanding was restored, and now I'm ready to go and do more. So the Mashgiach said, Reb Moshe, you didn't even realize how important and meaningful your words were, but they turned this boy around. Each and every one of us has an opportunity during the month of Elul, and that is if only we will pick one small mitzvah that perhaps we've been lax in this year and last year and the year before, and so on and so forth. And we realize the great value that there is in that mitzvah, then a person will be able to come and stand before Hashem on the day of Rosh Hashana and let him know, I appreciate the value of your mitzvahs. Someone who appreciates the value of a mitzvah, that's the kind of a person that Hashem wants in this world for another year. Another idea from the Parshas. Let's go back another couple of weeks. Re'ei anoichi noisei lifneichem hayoim. See and look that today I am placing before you bracha uklala. Everybody thinks that in the world of Judaism there's a lot of gray areas. That's what we all think. I'm not so sure, you do this, you have to do this, it's right, it's wrong. Says the Torah, it's very, very simple. There's bracha and klala, there's blessing and curse. Blessing and curse. Does that sound great to you? Blessing and curse. Now you have to discern for yourself what is the blessing and what is the curse. That's where it gets great. In our mind, we don't always understand exactly what a bracha is or what a curse really is. Es ha-bracha, what is the blessing? Asher tishma mitzvahs Hashem Elokeichem. Listen to the mitzvahs of Hashem your God. Asher anoichi mitzvahs echem hayom, that I am commanding you today. That's bracha. Blessing is when you listen and you hear and you understand, and of course you keep the mitzvahs of Hashem. That is the greatest blessing of all. Now, what should the klal, what should the curse be? The opposite of that. The opposite of listening to the mitzvahs is going to be not listening to the mitzvahs. Ve'aklala, what is the curse? If you don't listen to the mitzvahs of Hashem your God. But then the Torah adds the following words. V'sartem min haderech. And when you do not listen to the mitzvahs of Hashem, you will certainly, says the Torah, turn away from the straight path that a Jew is supposed to be on. That I'm commanding you on this day, you'll go after other foreign gods that you never knew before. Says the Torah, very simple. Blessing is when you listen to Hashem. Curse is when you don't listen to Hashem, but it's more than that. Because you don't listen, it is guaranteed you're going to turn off the path. Can't avoid it. Can't avoid it. I was just in Eretz Yisrael recently, and when you ask somebody for directions over there, what do they say all the time? Yeshar, 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 Lech, Yeshar, keep going straight, straight. I really have to go right, left, but they just tell you go straight. Eventually you're going to get there. How does it work? Eventually you get there. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to go Yeshar. Just go straight. Go after the bracha. Go after the mitzvahs, go after the blessing, go after the good things I'm offering you. But if you don't, sartim in aderech, for sure you're going to turn off of the road. And you won't be able to avoid that. So now let's go back in our year of review one more time. Ask ourselves, how much of the bracha were we chasing after and going yashar, the way that Hashem wants us to go? But how many times this year did we make a mistake and we were going after the klala, after the curse, which is not listening to Hashem, and we're sartim in aderech, we end up turning off the path. Rosh Hashana, or the month of Elul, we say we are rededicating ourselves to you, Hashem. You know, they have couples that are married 50 years. It's a miracle that they stayed together all these years. So what do? They renew their vows. What does that mean? That means just as I took the vows under the chuppah 50 years ago to stand by you in sickness and in health and in good and in bad and everything, all those things, I renew my vows right now to you, my beloved. I'll be with you for another 50 years. On Elul, ani l'doidi v'doidi li, I am to my beloved is to me. We are renewing our vows to Hashem. And we are saying, I know that I didn't always run after bracha this year. I know that I didn't always listen to what you said, and I was sartim in aderech, I turned away from the path. I know that, Hashem. And so during the month of Elul, ani l'doidi yashar, just go straight. I'm going to try my best. I won't succeed every moment. I won't do everything perfect because I'm not an angel. And the Torah wasn't given to angels, it was given to us, human beings. And human beings make mistakes because we are not perfect. But I'm going to try my best. Yashar. You know, I always wondered if Waze could talk back to me when I take the wrong turn. What would it say? You fool! Didn't you see where to go? Okay, I did. What are you doing? I told you to go straight. Why did you go to the right? You missed the exit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you fool. I showed you yashar. I showed you straight. I showed you bracha. What are you doing? You're taking klala. You're taking curse. You're sartim in aderech. You're turning off the way. Elul ani l'doidi. I'm to you, Hashem. You be to me. Keep pulling me closer and closer and closer and closer. One of the very interesting things that we did when we were in Eretz Yisrael just now, we went camelback riding. If anybody ever had the great pleasure of being on the back of a camel. Well, it's very interesting. They're very interesting animals. So the way that it worked in this particular place was there were about 7 camels. One was in the front, and each one was connected by a string, and they walked in a row. We met in one meeting area. Everybody got on their camels, and then the guide walks us, and it was a very wide road, and so the camels were walking down the road all together to get to this clearing where we had to go. We get to the clearing, we get off the camels, we do whatever activity we have going on over there, and then about a half an hour, 40 minutes later, we get back on the camels to go back to the meeting place. I'm in the front camel, and I have my 3-year-old son sitting in front of me on the camel. All the camels get up, and the guide starts walking the camels. Except instead of there being a wide road, there was a path that was about this narrow. The path is this narrow, and on this side of the path, there's a cliff. And he begins taking us down this very narrow path, and I look to the other side, and the cliff is there, and he must have seen my eyes popping out of my head, and he says, don't worry. He said, you have nothing to worry about. The more narrow the path, the better the camel is going to follow the direction they have to go. Because the camel knows if it steps out of line, it's down the cliff, and all the other camels are going down together with them. So don't worry. The camel follows the narrow path better than any other path around. And that's exactly what happened. We walked, every camel 1 foot after the other, until we got to the clear. That's what our lives are supposed to be like. The life of Torah is really bracha. And bracha is very definable. Blessing is, says, listen to me, says Hashem. Listen to my mitzvahs. That's the path you have to walk down. If you go too much over here and you don't listen, sartem min haderech, you turn away from the path, who knows what's lurking over there? It could be a cliff. Like the Mesilas Yesharim says, that in this world you should view yourself as a blind man who is walking on the edge of a river. One step in the wrong direction, you've fallen, and that's the end of the blind man. One step out of line, like the camel, you go one step out of line, you're down the cliff. But if I'm following in the path that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to walk in, then certainly I'm going to succeed in my Avodas Hashem, my service of God. This is the month of Elul. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. I'm training, I'm getting ready, I want to get closer to Hashem, because on Rosh Hashana itself, I want to make sure I'm ready to run the marathon. 6 hours in the morning, 7 hours in the morning, 8 hours in the morning, depending on where you daven. Tekiyah shofar, I want to be able to listen and hear the blast of the shofar that is there, so that I myself should be able to wake up from all of my slumber of the year. I want to think to myself, what mitzvahs do I want to do better this year in order that I will merit another year of life? Of course Hashem wants you to be around for another year. He loves Klal Yisrael. He loves when we're here. He loves when we're doing His mitzvahs. The more that we show we want to do, the more HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to shower us and give us this greatest blessing in the world, and that is the blessing of Chaim. And again, as we said, what do we ask for? Not just, Jews we have chutzpah. Yeah? We don't just ask for life. We're standing before Hashem and we're asking, Shana Toiva Umasuka. It should be a good year. It can't just be it can't just be life. It should be a good year and a sweet year. That's why we have the honey. The honey that gets stuck all over your fingers and ruins the new outfit that you bought for Rosh Hashana. Why do we eat the honey? Because the honey reminds us that the goodness and the sweetness of Hashem should be all over us for the entire year. You want to be stuck to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You want to be stuck to a good year. You want things to be sweet. And if there's anything that wasn't sweet in your life this year, and I'm sure that we all had things that were not sweet this year, that's the nature of life, perhaps if we will train better and prepare ourselves better and get ready, either like we said, with that one small mitzvah, which we are going to decide before we walk out that door, what can I do this month? And also to train my ears and my heart and my mind to see the blessing. That's that narrow path in front of me that Hashem wants me to go down. Not Chalila down the cliff. Sartim min haderech, to turn off the pathway. Then for sure, you will stand before Hashem on the glorious days of Rosh Hashana, when Hashem is sitting as the King of the universe. Sifrei Chaim, Sifrei Mesim, the book of life and the book of death, open the munachim in front of, they're open in front of Him. And He's got your name. And He's trying to decide, where am I going to put her? It's eeny, meeny, miny, mo? No. Heads or tails? No. He evaluates and He examines your deeds. And He's also watching you on Rosh Hashana itself. How are you acting on Rosh Hashana? Rav Wolbe writes in Ali Shor that Hashem wants us to be a tzaddik 2 days. Even if you weren't such a big tzaddik the whole year, such a big tzaddik the entire year, you made a lot of mistakes. We all do. But if you will stand before Hashem as a righteous individual in Rosh Hashanah, that is the judgment that you are getting. I had a roommate once in yeshiva. He was one of the worst bachrim in the entire yeshiva. He slept in, didn't learn. I don't even know if he davened when I don't even know what he did. But on Rosh Hashanah, the guy was the biggest tzaddik in the entire yeshiva. He woke up early. He went to Beis Midrash. He would learn before davening. He would daven. And I'm like, come on. And I asked him once, what are you doing? Where have you been the entire year? He said, forget about the entire year. Today's Rosh Hashanah. At least on Rosh Hashanah, I gotta look like a tzaddik. And therefore, each and every one of us will utilize all of our growth throughout the year. We'll utilize this month that we have left of picking the small mitzvahs and also keeping the course charted, that we want to stay yashar on the derech, on the pathway of bracha, not of klala, of curse, not to be sartim, to turn away from the path. And in that zechus Yitz Hashem, each and every one of us, you and your families and your loved ones, and the chasadim that you're going to marry this year, also Bez Hashem, you should all be zeichet to a Shana Tova. Remember, not just a year of life, but a good year of life. U'mesuka, and it should be exceedingly sweet. Shana Tova Mesuka, may we all be signed and sealed in the book of life.